What's up guys, Hamsterwheel here with a new video and welcome to yet another episode of Unusual Specs. That's right, today we are checking out the Arms Warrior in PVE. That's right, I always thought that if you want to go PVE you go Fury and if you want to go PvP you go Arms. However, Arms is not that unusual. In fact, I found a pretty nice guide on the Phoenix forums. The only problem is that most of the links on there weren't working, so yeah, the guide was basically incomplete. So I had to ask some people for some more questions about some of the gear. And I want to give a quick shout out to Noes, or Nose, I probably butchered your name there. But Nose from Hype, he answered a lot of questions for me. He took some time to explain a few things. So big shout out to him for giving me some more info regarding the Arms Warrior. Right, as always, I will first explain the spec, then explain the rotation, then I will join a normal dungeon, and then I will once again log on to the Smolder Forge server, where we'll try out the same thing with some really nice gear. Alright, so let's talk about the spec, shall we? The spec right now is 3328, and then 0 in protection. What you're going for is 5 points in deflection, 3 points in Iron Will, 3 points in improved Thunderclap, 1 point in anger management, 3 points in deep wounds, 2 points in impale, 5 points in two-handed weapon specialization, 1 point in death wish, 5 points in poleaxe specialization if you're wearing an axe. If you have a sword, then you go for the sword specialization, which is also really nice. I advise you not to go with a mace, because mace gives you a chance to stun a target, which obviously if you're fighting bosses that are immune to CC does nothing for you. So for PvE I advise you to go with either axe or sword. And then 2 points in improved disciplines, and then 1 point in mortal strike, and then 2 points in blood frenzy. Basically we're going all the way up or down, if you whatever you feel like, to mortal strike and blood frenzy. That's the 2 main talent points we need to get, right? So we're going to move on to Fury. In Fury we're going to put 5 points in cruelty, 5 points in improved demoralizing shout, 5 points in commanding presence, 5 points in enrage, 1 point in sweeping strike, 2 points in improved slam, 2 points in weapon mastery, and then 3 points in flurry. Now we would love to get more points in flurry, because if you crit, then you get, if you have 5 points, 25% extra attack speed, which is awesome. It's basically like a lot of haste. The only problem is that we have to go for Mortal Strike and Blood Frenzy, because Blood Frenzy is a very nice DPS increase, so we cannot put more points in Flurry than 3. But still, if we land a crit, 15% extra extra speed for our next 3 strikes. So yeah, that's pretty nice. Alright, let's talk about the rotation. Before I actually start talking about rotation, I want to talk about an add-on real quick, because getting like Recount and Omen Threat Meter, that's all self-explanatory. I'm talking about Quartz. Now what Quartz does is actually give you a swing timer. What do I mean with that? I'll just show you. So if I hit the target, you can see a little bar here that will basically count down to 3.5, because 3.5 is how much time it takes for me to attack the target, right? Now it's going to be very important, because we're going to need this to do our rotation. So as you can see, now that I have crits, it becomes faster because of flurry. So what we're going to do, always keep our battle shout, pretty much self-explanatory. Now extra attack power, right? And I'm going to switch to Berserker stance, by the way, for more crit, 3% extra crit. Right, so we're just going to attack the target, and you're going to see this swing timer, right? Now, right after we have a swing timer, when he swings, we're going to use slam. So that's a swing, slam. And then right after, or in between the slam and the next time I auto attack, we're going to use either Mortal Strike or Whirlwind, depending on the situation. Oh, I just sit there. Depending on the situation. If there's multiple targets, obviously you use Whirlwind. If there's just one target, you're going to use Mortal Strike. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's try that, right? So here we go. We got our little swing timer, slam, and then Mortal Strike. Right? Swing timer, slam, and then Mortal Strike's on cooldown. You can use Whirlwind. And what we're also going to do, and this is very important, you're going to have to keep this up all the time, is improved demoralizing shout, which reduces the target's attack power by 420, which is I don't know if they intend to do it with 420, but yeah, there you go. And we're gonna keep that up all the time. And this is the amazing thing about Quartz. You can actually see your debuff on the target. So it's very clear. You can see, it's starting to run out. It's starting to run out. And when it's on like, 1 second or something, we refresh Demoralizing Shout. So let's recap, right? So we're gonna just charge into the target. That's the swing, slam, and then Mortal Strike. Then wait for the next swing, slam, and then Whirlwind, or maybe next Mortal Strike. And keep track on your Demoralizing Shout. That's basically the rotation. Now obviously, if we add some cooldowns such as Death Wish or Blood Fury and my Trinket, or both, we're gonna do a lot more DPS. So let me see, just gonna refresh Battle Shout. Gonna wait for that little intercept cooldown. There we go. So once again, that's a swing, slam, Mortal Strike, and there we go. Activate my Trinkets. Wait for that swing timer, slam, and there you go. Now, as you can see down below, I'm doing a measly, well, it's actually getting a little better right now, a measly 300 DPS. And that is because being an Arms Warrior, you're gonna have to be reliant on having a Shaman in your group with Wind Fury. That's just the case. If you don't have that, it's gonna be really tough to do some viable DPS. So you better start making friends with whatever Shaman you're in, because he's going to drop that Wind Fury tone for you. And if you're in a raid, let's say you're doing Gruels or McTheridan, or a higher up like SSC or TK, there's always going to be a melee group with an Enhancement Shaman. That will take care of dropping the Wind Fury totem, because that is a huge DPS increase for Retribution Paladins, Fury Warriors, and also Arms Warriors. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to log on my Shaman, drop a Wind Fury totem to kind of like create that PVE environment, and we'll see how much DPS we can do real quick. So yeah, gonna do that. Give me a moment. Okay, here we go. We got my Shaman. I got Strength of Earth and Wind Fury. So once again, I'm gonna pop Battle Shout. There we go. Yep, that's both on cooldown. I'm not gonna use Recklessness for now. So, alright, let's intercept. That's the first swing, and a Wind Fury right away. That's good. So let me just pop both of my cooldowns. There we go. I'll wait for that swing timer. There we go. Slam, Heroic Strike, and as soon as you get rage, apply Demoralizing Shout. And another slam, Mortal Strike in between. And there we go. That's pretty good. 550 DPS for the gear I have. So there we go. Keep on doing this. That's a swing, slam, and let it do a quick whirlwind right here. That's another swing, bam, Mortal Strike. Demoralizing Shout is about to run out, so I'm going to keep a quick eye on that. I have time for one more slam, Demoralizing Shout, refresh that, and you're going to keep on doing that basically. And with that, I got around 550 DPS, which is not too great, I admit. But it's also because of my gear. I mean, you're very gear dependent when it comes to arms. But yeah, who knows what we can do in a random dungeon. So that's a quick introduction to the talents, the rotation, what abilities are important and everything for the Arms Warrior. So without further ado, let's try and join a normal dungeon and see what kind of DPS we can do. Alright guys, I'm here on Smolder Forge on my warrior. As you can see, I got some pretty nice gear. But there's a problem here. I wanted to do a DPS run. But I noticed that you only get half the rage you should get from auto attacks. Let me show you. Now normally, with a two-hander, I would get 12 rage, right? Let me see right now. I got 0 rage right now. See? 6 rage. That is not right. That is not correct. It should be 12. Which means basically I'm getting half the rage, which basically means that doing a DPS test on this server is pretty much pointless, because the rage is not working correctly. So yeah, that is very unfortunate. I was totally ready to give this a go with some really nice gear, but unfortunately we can't do that. So yeah, it's back to the Phoenix server. Alright guys, and we're back on Phoenix. Unfortunately we have to end this unusual specs episode for now, because we can't really do a proper damage output on the Smolder Forge server. So I guess when I got some better gear in this character, I'll revisit this as I revisited my Frost Mage not too long ago, and then check out how much damage I can do then. But for now, let's just talk about the pros and cons of the spec. So let's start off with the pros. Pro number 1 is the fact that I like the rotation. It's fun. I really like the rotation. It all depends on keeping an eye out for your swing timer, timing your slam, and then timing your heroic strike or whirlwind. It's very fun. It's not exactly easy to master, but that's what I like about it. I mean, I messed up a few times during the dungeon, you probably saw that, but I like about it. There's a certain challenge into learning the rotation, and I like that, so that is good. Second pro is being able to PvP with the spec. Now, obviously, this is not the ARMS PvP spec, but you're still pretty viable in PvP, which is nice. I mean, you're more viable than Fury in PvP, that's for sure. So yeah, I really like that about this spec. So those are the 2 pros. Let's talk about the cons. The first con is the fact that they're very gear dependent. I mean, the gear I have right now is okay-ish. It's pretty decent, and I had a lot of issues with rage starving. Meaning that I wasn't critting enough, I wasn't hitting hard enough, I wasn't generating enough rage, which meant I could not throw in a heroic strike or a whirlwind or whatever, which obviously means my DPS is very low. So that is a problem. Con number 2 is the fact that you are completely dependent on a Wind Fury totem. I mean, if I have some pretty decent gear, I guess I can do some okay DPS, but in order to really shine with this spec, you need that Wind Fury totem, so you are very dependent on that. And con number 3, it kind of ties in with con number 1 actually, is the fact that you're rage starving, and that is the problem that let's take Announcement Challenge for instance. You know, you have dual wield, which provides a more stable output, a DPS output, because you have two one-handers, compared to a one-hander, which might do a lot of damage, but then you'll do no damage because then you dodge, or then the target dodges, and then you do large damage. So it's a lot less consistent. And the same thing applies to arms warriors. I mean, your fury warrior, you have 2 one-handers. The generation of rage is a lot more consistent, while with arms you're getting large chunks of rage over a longer period of time compared to fury, which could be problematic. If, let's say, you miss a few times, you have no rage, and then you can't do heroic strike or whatever. So those are the 3 cons. And as I said before, I unfortunately have to end this episode on a short notice. I could not check this out with really good gear. So as of right now, this is going to be my verdict for as of right now. I really like this spec. I love it. It's an interesting rotation. You really have to pay attention to your rotation. It's not spammy at all. So there is a learning curve there, which I like, and you can do some pretty nasty damage. I mean, if I pop my cooldowns and everything, and if there's multiple targets, I have enough rage and I can do whirlwind, then yes, I can do some pretty nasty damage. So yeah, I like the spec, and the fact that I've seen more people rolling around with this gear, and there are guides on the Phoenix forum, really proves that this spec is definitely viable in raiding. It's just that probably you need a lot of gear to be able to do some really nice DPS, but still, I like this spec, and I'll be definitely messing around with this character a little bit more, hoping to gear it up just a bit more so I can revisit the spec in the near future. But until then, I want to thank you for watching this video. I'm Hamsterwheel Gaming, and have a good one.